The room was dark. Not just dark, heavy. The kind of dark that could crush you if you let it. Enzo leaned back in his leather chair, a glass of whiskey in one hand, a cigarette burning in the other. Smoke curled upward, filling the air with a bitter sting. All around him, half-naked women danced. Their laughter was loud, their movements slow and deliberate. They thought they could catch his eye, but they were wrong. Enzo wasn't there for them. One of them, a brunette in a tight red dress, slid onto his lap. Her perfume was sharp enough to make his nose twitch. She giggled, hands brushing his chest, trying to pull him in. Enzo didn't say a word, just low in his throat. That was enough to make her think she had a chance. She leaned closer, whispering something he didn't bother to hear. The door swung open, cutting through the music and chatter. Ren, his beta, stood there, face tight, like he was carrying news he knew Enzo wouldn't like. Enzo flicked his eyes toward him, then nodded at the other men in the room. His enforcers lounged on the couches, drinks in hand. "Get them out," Enzo said, voice calm but hard. The men moved fast, ushering the women toward the door. The brunette pouted, trailing her fingers down his arm as she stood. "You sure, Enzo?" she purred, batting her lashes. He didn't answer, just stared until she backed off, heels clicking as she hurried out with the others. The room went quiet. The music still thumped through the walls, but it felt muted now. Just him and Ren. Enzo stood, still holding his whiskey and cigarette, and walked to the window. The city sprawled below, a mess of lights and noise, but it didn't touch him. Nothing did. He took a drag, smoke burning his lungs, and waited. Ren knew better than to make him ask twice. "What's the message?" Enzo's voice came low, his eyes on the glass in his hand. Ren stepped closer, bowing his head slightly. "Alpha, it's about the Evans, the old man. He's refusing to pay his debt." Enzo's grip tightened on the glass. That old man. Some low-life gambler who thought he could borrow from him and walk away. His wolf stirred, a low growl rumbling deep inside him, itching to break free. Enzo pushed it down, hard. He wasn't some pup who lost control. Not ever. But the anger burned hot, and the glass in his hand shattered. Shards cut into his palm. Blood dripped onto the floor. Enzo didn't flinch. Ren froze, his eyes on the blood. "Alpha, quiet!" Enzo snapped, turning to face him. His wolf was close. Too close. Its claws scraped at the edges of his mind. Enzo stepped toward Ren, close enough that he could feel the heat of his rage. He lifted his bloody hand, the cigarette still burning between his fingers, and grabbed Ren's jaw, forcing him to meet his eyes. "I don't care how you do it." Enzo's voice was a low growl. "Make him pay, one way or another. Do you understand?" Ren nodded, face pale. "Yes, Alpha. Whatever it takes." "Good." Enzo let go, wiping his hand on his pants. "Go." Ren didn't hesitate. He turned and disappeared through the door. Enzo stood there, alone, the cigarette's ember glowing in the dark. His wolf was still restless, pacing inside him, snarling for something he couldn't name. Enzo took a drag, letting the smoke calm him, but it wasn't enough. A soft hand slid around his waist, and he tensed. The brunette was back, her red dress clinging to her like a second skin. She pressed herself against him, voice soft and teasing. "Why are you so pissed off, Alpha? Rough night?" Enzo grabbed her wrist, not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to make her stop. "Leave," he said. voice flat. She laughed like it was a game and slipped her robe off her shoulders. It fell to the floor, leaving her in nothing but a slip of black lace. "Come on," she said, stepping closer, her hand brushing his chest again. "Don't you like what I see?" His wolf surged, and this time, Enzo didn't hold it back. A growl ripped from his throat, loud enough to make the walls shake. "Get out," he said, his voice more beast than man. Her eyes widened, fear flashing across her face. "Yes, Alpha," she stammered, grabbing her robe and stumbling toward the door. It slammed behind her, and the room was quiet again. Enzo walked back to the window, his hands shaking, not from the whiskey or the cigarette, but from something deeper. His wolf was clawing at him, harder than usual, its voice sharp in his head. "When will we find her?" it demanded. "Our mate. When?" Enzo stared out at the dark clouds rolling over the city, thick and heavy, like a storm waiting to break. His wolf's question echoed, and for once, he didn't have an answer. He took a sip of his drink, the whiskey burning his throat, and muttered, "Soon."